Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to the Essential Wrestling Podcast. Al, we're here. 50 episodes later, we made it again.
You know, Ty, it's funny how we got to this. If you rewatch episode 1, and I've done it a couple times, it's actually really funny just how far we came. And I said it back then, like, we're going to look back at that episode and laugh. And it is kind of funny how our producer was in, the background in the opening shot. The first words ever spoken on the show are, "You are live" by him, So it's but yeah, we got 50, Ty. We a show that wasn't really supposed to amount to anything, and here we are.
Yeah, I mean, the little known, gorilla position secrets we have. The show was never supposed to really be a thing to begin with. It was not something we had spoken about. It was not in any of our lines of sight for at least a year. And then obviously, the circumstances, we're sitting home just brainstorming, and we were like, hey, we can do this. And we went from one platform to the other, to guest hosts, to now a team of 6 people with our sexy man Gary, our new friend Ryan. It's John and John. It's been I would have laughed at you if you told me we'd be this far in 50 episodes.
Yeah, the two things that always stuck out to me way back when, is that we were supposed to start at WrestleMania, and we got postponed as well. We got this quite when we really shouldn't have, because WWE and AEW and Impact, everything kept going. So we got a little bit of late start. I think we started around Money in the Bank, if I remember correctly.
I think our first show, it was the week before Money in the Bank, because that was our first set of picks.
Yeah. And then what'd you say? We were supposed to last, 5 episodes?
Yeah, I think we were probably only going to, we were like, all right, we'll get 5-6 solid episodes out of this. We'll get tired of it. And 50 episodes, 4 specials later, here we are.
Yeah, and we couldn't be here without you guys, the viewers at home, whether it be on YouTube, on Facebook, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all of our platforms on the I-95 family of networks. We're here because of you, and we lasted more than 5 episodes because of you. We're obviously doing something right. We're obviously going to be trying to get better going forward. A special thank you for John Smith and John DeConnie. You two, you filled in right away, and you guys have been a part of this probably a lot longer than I think you guys even realize. I think they chimed in at episode 4. Then another thanks to, the icon, sexy man, Gary Mehaffy. Actually, I should have had the picture up for Gary.
Sexy Gary.
Gary's our overseas correspondent. He stays up late night over in Belfast. We can't thank him enough. And then Ryan Joy, the partnership that ProWrestlingPick'em.com, along with the Eastern Observer, with MinutesToBellTime.com, we couldn't be more thankful for you for subbing in for us, for hosting us when we aren't there, as we aren't right now, unfortunately. But thank you to every single one of you guys. Thank you to those watching at home. 50 episodes, and we can't be there, Ty. We're not there.
I know. It hurts, but ice ain't going to clean itself.
No, exactly. That's what it is. So without further ado, Ryan, hit that money-making music. Enjoy 50 episodes, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Al. Thank you, Tyler. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Essential Wrestling Podcast. I'm going to address the fairly significant flaw in that opening video in just a second. But first, let me introduce the people on the screen. I'm Ryan Joy, filling in for Al Karl this week. And below me, you see John DeConnie, the first ever Pro Wrestling Pick'em champion, the living legend. How are you, John?
Good. Doing well. Glad to be here. 50 episodes. This is good stuff. Love it.
Hopefully the EWP is like NXT is on your shirt, and that is for life. And then above John and to my right, I guess, is John Smith wearing his Andre the Giant shirt. He's the man who provides advice every Wednesday on the Daily Wrestling News Show. John, your tip last week was to make sure you stretch before you do anything strenuous. I hope that you're feeling okay for the EWP today?
Oh, I'm feeling fine now, but I was hurting for a few days from that. But yeah, just very happy to hit 50. I didn't even realize we were recording these things, so I'm just happy to be along for the ride.
Well, as mentioned, there was Al and Tyler did that great video to lead us into the show. There was a fairly significant thing going on, and I wanted to make sure I bring it to everybody's attention. So we have a bit of trivia. So I hope you guys were paying attention. Your question is, just what happened at Tyler's house? Your choices are B, the Adelle family wished the entire cleaning staff the best in their future endeavors. C, the blanket is covering up something he didn't want us to see. Or D, none of the above. Guys, I don't know what happened there. I wish Tyler the best. John, it looks like you have a theory.
I have no idea. I wasn't paying attention, to be honest with you. I was more so listening and watching. Because I got Escobar and Kushida on the other window right now that I'm refreshing my memory with.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because on today's show, we are going to talk about our new Cruiserweight champion. Gary's going to come over from NXT to talk about NXT UK. Travis is going to be in my normal spot, as he typically is when I'm in the hosting position. He's going to talk about the New Japan Cup USA and a couple of other cool things that are happening. We have Darby Allin squeezing by Matt Hardy, but Darby has another TNT title match this week. We're going to get you caught up on SmackDown and Raw. We are going to make our picks for the upcoming week's shows. Graphics will be presented by minutestobelltime.com, and the show, as always, is sponsored by the brand new 2021-22 season at Pro Wrestling Pick'em. Guys, go out there, join so you can make your picks alongside us. Join the Essential Wrestling Podcast pool or whatever. Make your picks, score the points, dethrone Karl, who won this year's pool. But most importantly, play against your friends or play against the universe. All right, get those names back up. Okay, we're going to main event the show with the huge title for title match at Impact Rebellion this weekend, but we curtain jerk the show with NXT and that big Kushida victory. So with that said, tonight we have Kushida's championship celebration. He's going to be doing an open challenge, but let's see. Who's talking about Kushida? Santos. John Smith, take it away.
Yeah, this one was a big shocker to me, but I mean, I kind of saw it coming when Kushida didn't come out in his normal attire. He showed up in some normal wrestling trunks, and you don't normally make a change like that for no reason. And it had a reason, because now he's at the top of the cruiserweight division, and the match was great. Santos put a beating to him. He made him earn that title. He put a Walls of Jericho on him on the top step of the ring steps, which was pretty awesome. And then Kushida went for a springboard upside down something or other off the ropes, and he got put into a backstabber instead, which was pretty awesome. But Santos just fell short because he was all beat up from that awesome unification match against Devlin the week before. So, I had called for him to lose that ladder match originally so he could go on to bigger and better things. And, they just did it a week later. And now I'm hoping to see him, maybe he can revisit the feud he had with Karrion Kross, and that could be Kross's first title defense.
Well, so that's interesting. We'll get to that in a second. But Kushida tonight is supposed to have a championship celebration. That's how they had been marketing it, they being WWE, up until a couple of hours ago when they changed it to now Kushida's doing an open challenge. He is returning the favor to the locker room. So I guess the question is, guys, it's our first pick of the week. A, who do you think is going to answer the challenge? And B, does Kushida lose the belt on the first go round? John Smith, I'll start with you.
I haven't been nailing my NXT picks lately.
Did we lose John Smith?
Yeah, he's frozen.
He's frozen. Okay, so John Smith is frozen. That's okay.
You see me now?
I can hear you now. Go ahead.
I don't know what the heck happened. Anyway, sorry. I just don't see them taking the belt off of Kushida yet. It seems like they're just going in a different direction with that division now, and he's going to be at the top of it.
John Takami.
Yeah, I would not think that they take the belt off of him just yet. It was too much fun to see him win it last week. As for who's going to show up and answer the challenge, Leon Ruff's kind of tied up with Swerve and whatnot. So off the top of my head, the smallest guy I can think of that could pop out of the locker room and put a nice match on with him, maybe Jake Atlas. I don't know.
No, nobody thinks Jordan Devlin's just going to come out and make that.
No, he said he was going home. He said he was coming back, but he said he was going home. So I don't know.
I thought it was going to be Tyler Rust last week, so I'll just say Tyler Rust again this week. Malcolm Bivens, you come out and accept the challenge for him, maybe.
Yeah, yep. And we had, and it could be Santos Escobar himself, or Escobar could go to the main roster, as Gary said in our private chat. John, you brought up Karrion Kross, and maybe Escobar feuding with him, rekindling that little quick fire feud that we had a few weeks ago. Karrion Kross actually opened NXT last week, and he said it wasn't necessarily an open challenge, but he said anybody that wants the title can step up. So I guess now we just wait. But John Takami, MSK had a title match, their first title defense since winning the titles at Stand and Deliver against Killian Dane and Drake Maverick.
Yeah, we had a fun little match here between MSK and the what is it, the Fire and the Furry and the Fury, something like that. They have good, those two teams have good chemistry. But Killian Dane went for his power bombing of his partner onto Carter, and Wesley pulled his boy Carter out of the ring. They would eventually take Dane out, keep him out. He's down outside the ring, which would leave poor little Drake Maverick all alone. And Lee would hit the running blockbuster. They didn't do it off the turnbuckle this time. It was just kind of running mid-ring. And we may have a name for it. I tried to name it last week, and they decided that the hell with my idea. It sounds like it may be going as End Transmission. Either way, it is a retention for MSK of their NXT Tag Team titles. And then after the match, we had Imperium attacking Killian Dane. Wolf came out and kind of, was going back and forth with him and kind of had his attention. And then the other, Eichner and Bartel, jumped him from behind, left him laying. They hit their pose, hit their music, and segment. But looks like that's the direction that Dane is headed. Hopefully Dane and Maverick. But they're going to, I assume, have some issues with Imperium moving forward.
Yeah, it seems that way. And, I'm fine with that. I think that'll be a interesting block of feuding there. So, although you say that, but Thatcher and Ciampa had their say later in the show too. Ciampa said basically to MSK, "We're coming." So basically, Walter was kind of a little blip in the road, but Thatcher and Ciampa apparently are coming for MSK. We lost John Smith. Not sure what happened there. Hopefully he resurfaces here in a few seconds. In the meantime, John, you and I will have to do John Smith's work and carry on through. He's the senior NXT correspondent, but we've got this. So Raquel Gonzalez had a promo. Basically, it was her celebration. She thanked Dakota Kai, Taya Valkyrie, or Frankie Monet came out, basically to put Raquel on notice. Stand by. John Smith is back.
I don't know what's going on, guys. I'm sorry.
No problem. You're here now.
We got you back.
Well, I was going to ask you, John. I'm just finishing up talking about Raquel Gonzalez and her promo. Taya Valkyrie came out. Rhea Ripley came out. Bianca Belair came out. All that's going on. But this week, the women's division gets a little shakeup as Saray, she is making her debut. She is the Warrior of the Sun. The big question is, who is going to take an L against Saray this week?
My guess would be Aaliyah. If not her, Zoe Stark, maybe.
Ooh, Zoe Stark. She's of that class. You know, I don't know. Like you got Cora Jade, and you got those ones too. Whoever Priscilla Kelly was, and Eliana Block. I don't know what their NXT names are, but Zoe Stark. Glad you brought Zoe Stark up because she had a conversation with Mercedes Martinez after Mercedes Martinez defeated Jessie Kamea. Zoe Stark says, "I want a shot at Raquel." Mercedes gets in her face. Mercedes wants a shot. That seems like a match that we should be getting on NXT this week, if not this week, then next, to kind of determine who's going to get the shot at Raquel. So I hope Zoe Stark doesn't lose to Saraya. Otherwise, Zoe Stark's right out of that running. But John Smith, Isaiah Swerve Scott, and Leon Ruff.
Yeah, that was another good match by them, and I love these two together. And it looks like we're going to still be getting more of them. I mean, they put on a nice, 10-minute or so match, and Swerve got the pin with his little flippy pile driver, whatever that thing is. I don't even know how to describe it, but I like it. He's not going to be able to do it to much bigger guys, but he'll come up with something else by then. But the aftermath is what this is really about, because Leon Ruff came after him, and while he was being interviewed post-match, Ruff came after Swerve and slammed him up against the lockers, hit him all over the place, and there was a real heel tactic by Leon Ruff. I like to see that fire underneath him. He's adding to his character. He's not just a little scrub.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that fire from Leon Ruff for sure. So hopefully we'll get more of that this week. In terms of promos all over this show, Pete Dunne said he's the best technical wrestler in the world, and he has said anybody from any brand that thinks otherwise can come after him. So we have basically Karrion Kross said that, Pete Dunne said that, Kushida's got an open challenge, Sheamus is doing open challenges. It's open challenge season in WWE right now, I think. But John DeConi, tell us about the main event, an 8-person intergender tag team match. I think the first of its kind.
Yes, and the way made sure that we knew beforehand earlier in the show, backstage with Mackenzie, that they are the most dominant 4-person intergender group in the history of NXT. And they even had a little Will Bundy moment to get themselves all fired up for their match. And they come out and they're facing Shotzi and Ember and Loomis and Reed. And we have a really fun match. A couple times the guys and the gals, got into it a little bit, but mostly it was, men facing the men, females facing the females. And then we get to, because the way is involved, we get to our humor moment, which has to come, and thank God for it. We had Loomis grabs Johnny. He's got him in silence. He's putting him to sleep. And Indy lays down right next to Johnny to kind of, distract. Loomis lets go of the hold, deals with Indy for just a second, and damn it, Theory comes in and breaks it up by kicking Loomis in the head. Indy's not happy about that. She tosses her teammate Theory out of the ring. Now she lays back down, and now she gets what she wants. Loomis comes over to her once again. He carries her off over his shoulder. She gives us a little wink and a nod on the way out, let us know she's okay and she's enjoying the festivities. But now, without the heart and soul of the team, Indy wrestling there, it's all downhill for the way. Ember hits a big time eclipse on Austin Theory, who would now, be the brunt of the rest of this match. Johnny Gargano tries to take Reed, who's now sitting on the top turnbuckle. He tries to take him down. That doesn't work. He gets front suplexed onto Theory. Theory takes another bump. Now Candice comes over. She tries to take Reed off the turnbuckle. Obviously, that's not going to work. Shotzi grabs her, puts her up in an electric chair, face plants her right into Theory, and then just to put the cherry on top of the whipped cream, he gets a tsunami, and the Way takes a big L, and Shotzi, Ember, Loomis, and Reed get the victory here.
Now, it's been a minute since we've had a wrestling wedding. The last one was Miro and Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford, but certainly things are lining up. The stars are aligning for Dexter, Loomis, and Indy Hartwell. And James Wheeler would like to say that if he was to book this romance, they would definitely have a wedding that has some vibes from the Bride of Frankenstein. So good call, James. Good call. And Dexter Loomis is busy again this week on NXT. It's the first match we get to pick this week, really. LA Knight versus Dexter Loomis. John DeConnie, I'll go right back to you. Who do you think in this match?
I do. We say this about a couple of different entities in the world of wrestling. I think Loomis is a guy that it doesn't matter if he wins, we're still going to root for him. And I think LA Knight came in, he got his first victory out of the way. Then he took an LA Knight. But I think Knight kind of needs this victory here, whether he gets it by heel tactics or not. I'm going to go with LA Knight on this one.
Okay, John Smith, LA Knight, and Dexter Loomis both sitting at 2-2 for the year. What do you think, John Smith?
Yeah, I'm gonna pretty much have to echo everything Mr. DeConnie just said because it makes the most sense, with what's going on with the Way and Indy and LA Knight needing the win, and he's got to start racking up some victories so he has a reason to say that he deserves a title match of some sort. So, Dexter does not lose any face by losing this match with the Way getting involved. So I definitely think LA Knight wins this.
Okay, damsel in distress, Indy Hartwell as my pick to get Dexter Loomis counted out. That's how I think this is going to go. Well, guys, that is NXT this week. We are going to jump across the pond, bring in Gary Mehaffy, and we're going to continue to talk about NXT, but we're going to talk about the UK brand. John Smith, anything you'd like to say to Gary before I bring him on?
No. I think Santos said everything for me last week or 2 weeks ago, actually.
All right, we'll see how long we can keep this Gary and John Smith feud going. So, guys, go get your groceries, but don't go far. You'll be back soon. Gary, welcome aboard. How are you?
I can't make any comment. It's currently in the hands of my attorneys. So as the fallacies and the falsehoods that John's been put out the last few weeks. So,
well, it has been. Everything's busy, and NXT UK was busy last week. 4 matches on NXT UK.
Yeah.
Last week. And we started with that Nathan Frazier and Saxon Huxley match. 6 minutes that match went.
Yeah, it's. I still can't get used to the name Nathan Frazier. It still sounds like a country and western singer to me, but.
Because that hardly wasn't at all.
Yeah, I know. But no, I mean, it was good. It's kind of one of those things. I almost feel it was a little bit of a mismatch because our clash of styles might be better because of Saxon Huxley and his kind of Bruiser Brody berserker type.
Yep.
The way he sort of wrestles, but. They are very behind Nathan Fraser, and saying it was good to see him say when he won with the frog splash events, as you say, in the 6 minutes. It was an even enough kind of match back and forth. They both had their moments, but they do see a lot in Nathan Fraser, the NXT kind of the powers that be. He was a big get for them because obviously everybody wanted him. And so I think they're just kind of at the minute letting them bubble under the surface while everybody else has their moment, and then eventually they'll let them loose. So
now, what do you? Nathan Frazier. Do you think he's a guy that's going to wrestle on top? You think he's going to get after Walter at some point? That's a mismatch as well, right?
Yeah. Isn't it what funny? Because obviously we were having that conversation backstage about like who would come up to Walter and who would do it. I can see that he's the sort of one. I think Nathan Fraser. I think if there were proper fans in inverted commas, if there were they were taping in front of fans, I almost think that they would let him loose a little bit more. And he's one of those people. I think that with fans watching him, that the fans would get behind organically, and he would become more and more. So it's almost to me like they're holding off until that point. And when you get the fans back, they'll go, right, let's just let him go and see how high he goes or see where we take him to. And then he may end up going across to the main NXT at some point, I would say, but once he gets seasoned a little bit over here. But
yeah, absolutely. The second match, Isla Dawn and Amelia McKenzie. Mackenzie's just coming in, and I didn't expect her to eat a loss here, and not to Isla Dawn.
Yeah, I mean, it has surprised me because every week when they bring her in, and especially Nigel in commentary, there's very much like, oh, Amelia McKenzie's here. Oh, she's back. Oh, and I'm like, oh, well, okay, what's going on? But we've talked before how they have a tendency on NXT UK to kind of go, not that there's a hierarchy, but to go, it's not your turn now, so just wait, and everybody can see how good you are, and your time will come. Almost like you would nearly like New Japan have a tendency to do with the Young Lions or whatever, kind of, you come in and go, like, they will be somebody in a few years' time, but we're not worried about them yet. And it's almost like they've done that. It's like, okay, she's here, and we know she'll be good. Give her time, we'll be okay. And as you say, I have been surprised that she's taken so many losses. Although I know she won the tag match with Salamur, but I was surprised when I saw it was her. But when I saw Isla Dawn, I thought, okay, they're behind her at the minute. And then when Amelia McKenzie came out, I was like, oh, okay. I don't fancy her chances here, but I say it was good. And I will say that Isla's finish, which seemed to be that half Nelson suplex with like the bridging version of it, it looked like a great finish. It looked like she'd killed her when she pinned her with that. So to be fair, they've done a good job. Now that it's Isla's turn to come through a bit.
Yeah, it's interesting. They're spending a lot of time on Isla Dawn's character work. They've given her those vignettes in the back. She's had some interaction with Kaylee Ray, so she's getting a little bit of a rub there, and you're kind of just waiting for them to explode and have a match, right? I mean,
yeah, and I'd say I've seen Isla live a couple of times that she's been across. There was an all-female show here in Belfast a couple of years ago that she was on, and again, it's not one of those when you see them live. She's good, and you can see fundamentally that she's great when she's live. But when there are fans there and there's somebody to naturally bounce off, you can see her character. And now that they've tweaked it and turned it a little bit, again, you kind of go, she would be another one as a heel that would work really well and feed off the fans. So the sooner the better.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Speaking of people who don't often get wins, Jack Stars. Where'd this come from? Yes, yeah, the Barry Horowitz.
Yes, Barry Horowitz, yeah.
The Barry Horowitz of NXT UK. Jack Stars gets a win over Ashton Smith. Now, Ashton Smith, not known for getting a bunch of wins himself, but still, this is the story. Come on, Jack, get your wins.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he'll be the one to take on Walter. I mean, again, I know I've said like every time about the fans. If they'd done the same storyline with Jack Stars, and especially now with him with Piper Niven, with them starting to get a few wins, if they had done that, if there were fans there, he would seem like the biggest babyface in the world. Like, I could really see, because when he came on at first, you go, well, you're in great shape, and you work well, and you're just going to put people over. And when they gave him one win, you went, oh, that's his token win. And then you went, oh no, you're getting another one. Oh, they're trying with you here, and so it's been really good to see him do that, and to see how he still has that kind of geeky character of, oh my goodness, did I win? Type, like he's not used to it his whole life. They're helping probably, but it's really good, and to see that character development, and to see them just go, do you know what? Let's give something like this, a wee thing like this, a chance, and see where the fans take it. And I think online the fans seem to be taking to it as well. So I'm really interested to see where it goes.
I like that it also gives Piper Niven something to do when it's not her turn. All right, we talked about everybody kind of having a turn. Piper went several rounds with Kaylee Ray. She's not the person that's going to be in that title picture right now, but she still gets to be on TV. She still gets to do things because she's sort of Jack Stars' life coach at the moment.
I mean, even the same. I mean, my obviously my favorite female wrestler, Jenny. with Joseph Connors with her, and Joseph Connors is fantastic live, is a fantastic wrestler. Personality wise, you're going, he needs to find his niche, and actually with her, it's almost done that. Where you say it's the same thing. You go, it's not your turn. You'll get the odd match, but just keep coming out with her, and people will remember you're here, type of thing. And you go, as you say, for Piper, it's the same type of idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you brought up Ginny, so I'm just going to transition straight to that. Ginny, I don't think they actually announced the match on NXT UK, but Ginny seemed to indicate that she was going to be wrestling Dani Luna on this week's episode. So I guess we got to pick the match. Ginny and Dani Luna. Who do you got?
It's almost I'm kind of conflicted because it's like, as you said about Amelia McKenzie for that match, it's like, oh, I'm surprised you're going to beat her. And Dani Luna is another one that for me they've introduced to kind of go, oh, here's this up and comer. She's a powerhouse. They're linking her with Webster and Andrews as well with a little bit. And you go, okay, great. But you kind of go, Jenny, oh, okay. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that somehow, whether it's somebody interferes or something happens, I'm going to go for Dani Luna to take the win.
I think so too, though. I think that they've done video packages for Dani Luna. Ginny just had her turn, as we've been kind of the motif of our segment here. So I think, build up Dani Luna so that not this month or next month, but sometime 3-4 months down the road, she's going to have a title shot, and they need to have these wins behind her. So I'm with you there. So the Supernova sessions, our favorite segment, our favorite talk show, I guess, in all of wrestling, and outside of wrestling too, probably. It's our favorite talk show. They had Gallus on, and they got company.
Yeah, when the Hunt version 2 came out at the end of it.
Awkward for me still, but yeah.
Yeah. There was something I still haven't found out. Something must have happened while Boar. There must be an injury, like something major, but I'm trying to find that out. But you had Eddie Dennis obviously came out and antagonized him, and then the Hunt attacked him from behind. And actually, what I loved was you had the massive brawl going on. And it looks as if I think Eddie Dennis and Joe Coffey are fighting this week, I think, on NXT UK. But in the middle of it, you just had Noam Dar standing there going, hey, as if this is great. I've made everybody fight, and he just is. I'm starting to love him more and more. It has to be said.
I will say this about Eddie Dennis, because I've watched NXT UK since it started, and Eddie Dennis had a feud with Trent Seven, early part of 2020 and stuff. He'd always been there, but he wasn't very interesting until the restart. And all of a sudden, he is great at capturing your attention and just making you hate him right away whenever he speaks. Yeah. But you are right, Eddie Dennis versus Joe Coffey. That is a match that we are going to be seeing this week. Let me pull down the banner so you can see that Eddie Dennis has not had a match, not a singles match anyway, this year. Joe Coffey 2-1. So, Gary, who do you got?
I'm going to go against all of my instincts, and I'm going to go Eddie Dennis. I'm going to say that that now there'll be some sort of, again, possible interference because you've got the Hunt doing that, or it could end up with a DQ leading to a 6-man down the line or something. But I think if there's going to be a winner in it by some way, shape, or form, it'll be Eddie Dennis. Either Eddie Dennis wins or Joe wins by DQ, but I'm going to go Eddie Dennis to win.
Impossible. Gallus boys on top. That's where.
Well, I wish, but
I really enjoyed. I think it wasn't this episode. It was 2 episodes ago. The Fight Club thing that they did with Wolfgang.
Whoever does the videos for NXT UK and all the promo stuff, like they are really exceptionally good videos. When you think of the ones that they did of the personal pieces on Dragunov and stuff as well. Back a couple of months ago, they've all just been brilliant. So big props to whoever does those.
I'll say that specifically for NXT UK and the NXT brand on the States side. Both they're doing incredible video packages, incredible pre-tape promos and things like that. I think that in a lot of ways, the main roster doesn't do a lot of that stuff. Of course, they do video packages to introduce matches before pay-per-views. but not a lot of pre-tape promos and stuff. So
I think I heard Uncle Dave saying that as for NXT in the main roster, they signed a guy from OTT here in Dublin, who did those packages, and the video packages for OTT were amazing. Apparently, he's gone across, and I think he was responsible for the Cole and O'Reilly one recently. And so, as you say, they've just been phenomenal. So,
yeah, 100%. Kenny Williams and Amir Jordan, they had the main event last week. And it went 11 minutes, 30 seconds. Kenny Williams uses some underhanded tactics, but he got the win. But it doesn't sound like Amir Jordan's completely done with the situation yet.
No, I was watching the two videos. There were two backstage videos, and where Kenny Williams was like, "Oh, he's nobody, but I'm going to move on up to take anybody on." And then Amir Jordan was like, "No, you're not, big boy. I'm still coming for you." So you can see some sort of grudge match down the line, and I'm pleased to see it. And I was genuinely pleased to see that they got, when they did their match, they allowed them to be the main event, because it has built up over a lot of months. It has been coming, and then it came up, and I went, well, fair dues. They've given them the main event. They gave them a good amount of time to have a decent match, and they are both good. But you can obviously see that they see a little bit more in Kenny Williams at the minute. As you say, it's his turn. He'll have his go. And whether he ends up linking up with the like of a Noam Dar and Shah Samuels, or whatever way he goes, they'll give him a chance, and then it's up to him to kind of prove that he can run with it. So
I think he's just 1 or 2 wins away from a Heritage Cup shot or whatever. Of course, I could ask you the same thing I asked you about Nathan Frazier. Is Kenny Williams the guy to take down Walter? They have a lot of guys in that body type that are hard to believe would be able to take down somebody like Walter. But anything else over in NXT UK, Gary, that we need to talk about?
No, I mean, as we were saying, I've been waiting on a few. There's been a few names rumored of the due to start soon or whatever, and I'm waiting to see if some of them come through and when they debut. But I'm just really looking forward to it. And as I've always said before, if anybody has never watched it, it will be an hour of wrestling TV that you will not regret watching. It's a great show, really well paced, and just really well worthwhile.
Yeah, and if you're only a WWE person, this is on Thursday, so there's no other WWE programming that day. So, and it's on at 3:00 in the afternoon. You can catch it on demand if you're at home making dinner or something.
Yeah,
definitely tune in. If you can't keep your attention on it the whole time, Nigel McGuinness will keep you up to date on whatever's going on in the ring. So, Gary, thank you so much. I think it's time for you to tell John Smith exactly what you think of him before we let you go.
Told John Smith what I think of him, I would get kicked off the air.
So, well, we're going to do that
anyway. It wouldn't be. Jordan's day will come, and you'll see when the cream will always rise to the top. That's all I'm going to say.
I will take the Jordan Devlin Kushida match as soon as we're ready.
Yeah.
And you know what? He could answer Sheamus's open challenge too. I'd be fine with that. So, but Gary, we'll see you next time. I'm going to bring in Travis. We're going to talk about New Japan and all that stuff. Thank you, Gary.
See you later.
All right. Gary's out and Travis is in. We just got to change the nameplate. Boom. There we go. Welcome aboard, Travis.
Thanks. It's great to be here. Happy 50th EWP. I think this is like my 4th appearance. So I'm the youngest, which is as a young wrestling podcaster, I think that speaks a lot to the reason why I'm the worst out of the entire roster on trivia. I'm just the youngest. I least knowledge, least experience.
If podcasting was in any way related to your memory bank, I would give you that. But
fair enough.
So I think there's 3 main stories this week. In MLW,
aisle of wrestling misfit promotions.
Yes,
that we're living in. Yeah.
Let's start with MLW. I think the big news that broke last night during Raw, we got a new TV deal.
Yeah, this is great. I'm really happy for Court. I'm really happy for the his fighters, his stable of fighters that he has. Vice TV is going to be bringing us some MLW stuff. Apparently the Dark Side of the Ring ratings were big enough for them to say, hey, let's maybe flex our muscles a little bit and stretch out and see if we can't get a little bit of this wrestling audience. Because, if you're not involved in the wrestling viewership, there's a lot of eyeballs coming to the product right now. I mean, it's great. I can't imagine what the world would be like as far as indie wrestling shows going on right now if the world was turned on, because there's so much on TV, there's so much on YouTube, there's so much on Twitch, there's independent wrestling TV and different things like that are going on. That, man, there's hours and hours of wrestling that are on regular TV, let alone what we'd see in local VFWs and fire halls and all kinds of stuff if the world was turned on. So I can't imagine what it's going to be like when we get to higher levels of vaccination and stuff like that, because it's going to get crazy again, and a great time to be part of wrestling.
It's going to boomerang, right? I think it's going to huge explosion, and then it'll kind of come back.
You'll see a winnowing just like everything else that's kind of pop culture-y like that, for sure.
So we know that Vice TV deal is going to start sometime in May, but in the meantime, we have Fusion this week. Hammerstone has a press conference. I assume he's going to challenge Fatu, but I could be wrong. Gino Medina versus Rocky Romero tonight, and also TJP, or not tonight, tomorrow night, and TJP versus Buku Dao.
Yeah, so that's finally going to pay off a little bit of this. This has been, this is about, we're probably 4 to 6 weeks in on this thing where, TJP was essentially supposed to be the mentor a little bit for Buku Dao, and ended up getting frustrated during a tag match and kind of beat him down and took some, a couple of fines and different things like that. So maybe we'll see if Buku Dao gets his comeuppance here against TJP.
We'll make the pick. What do you think, TJP or Buku Dao? What do you think?
I think we're going to see Buku Dao.
Me too.
He's interesting as a wrestler. He brings a nice presentation to the ring. It gives TJP something to work in and spin off of. And I don't know as we're going to see any kind of interference in this one. It'll be interesting. TJP is one of those people that, like, he kind of falls in that category with even, Rocky Romero's working a lot of loops now. You got Leo Rush that's working a ton, ACH, different people like that. TJP is all over the place too. So maybe he's going to get more solid footed, and MLW may be his actual home with the new show coming and stuff like that. So I think this is a good place to establish an inner rivalry there.
I'm gonna pick Buku Dao here. I think he takes this one. The other match we talked about was Gino Medina versus Rocky Romero. Gino Medina, Travis, we saw at the Collective live, and it was like one of the first matches that we saw, and it was a ref stoppage because something happened to Gino. But
yeah, Gino got dumped on his head or something, so was not doing good by the time we had walked in through the gates there. And we got to see Rocky too, so we, loosely got to see both of these. I'm going to say this is probably Gino just due to his affiliation with Team Filthy and stuff. I don't know if Rocky needs this match, and it just seems like he kind of needs a win. I think on the Lawler Island match, he might have gotten pounded on there. And
Gino lost his match against Richard Holiday last week.
Yeah, so Gino could use the win, and Rocky's kind of just here for really good window dressing, I think.
Yeah, and Court Bauer is supposed to make a great big announcement again on the show tonight. Court Bauer being the owner of MLW, so this could be a return of fans. I think that's what everybody thinks. So maybe he'll announce some dates there. But
yeah, they've got shows, I guess, booked in Philly and Chicago right now. So I assume that's what we're going to see. And if you look at the video package, that's what they were showing. Although it was interesting, like 2 seconds into the video, they show a wonderful screaming gal that's excited about MLW, and she's got a Road to WrestleMania shirt on. So, I was surprised they cut that in, but what are you going to do? You can't avoid all that stuff.
If you're a company the size of MLW, it's not like you can pretend that WWE doesn't exist.
Correct, absolutely. Especially that's where Court came from. So
the other big story going on is New Japan Strong. We are looking to get our New Japan Strong Openweight champion this Friday. It's going to be either Brody King or Tom Lawler. We are down to the end. What do you think?
So I'm going to take Tom Lawler here. And the reason that I'm going to take Tom Lawler here is a story has to come out of this tournament, because the tournament was a story. we created some story. There's some angles in there. We've got some, the early part of this card has a little bit of development there and stuff like that. But I think you need a guy who's a faction leader to kind of be the one to take this tournament down, because you have to move on to something else. You have to transition to something else. And like, I think early on, we thought that this person was going to get a match against John Moxley, and it doesn't seem like that's the direction they're going anymore with the brand new, really nice looking belt that they introduced and stuff. So I think there's an amount of it that needs to go to Lawler, although it's interesting with the new MLW show and not knowing where contracts are and stuff like that. Brody King could be the guy too. I don't know. It just feels like Tom Lawler with the belt is more interesting to me, given his accolades and how many fans sort of outside may recognize Lawler versus Brody King. I think Brody King's kind of a newer face, unless you're familiar with ROH and the stuff that he did with Villain Enterprises. So,
plus, I think you picked Brody King on the show this morning, so this way you're 100%.
I'm covering my bases. And I feel more pressure for my picks here because you guys do the pro wrestling pick'ems, and we just loosely discuss the matches on Daily Wrestling. So I am hedging my bets here with this one.
You're going to be right.
There's exactly. That's right.
Okay, so we have that. And John DeConi, while you're sitting backstage, do me a favor. And if you haven't seen the New Japan Strong belt, I know you're our belt enthusiast. Google that so that when you come back on the screen, I can ask you about that, and you can tell me whether it's garbage or great. But Travis, the other news that broke a couple of hours ago, actually, only, is that Ring of Honor, they announced they're going to do a women's tournament this summer. But before that happens, apparently every Wednesday, it's going to be Women's Wednesday on their YouTube, and they're going to be showcasing women who are trying to potentially get in the tournament. So
yeah, Wednesday night women's division, they had announced that they're going to have a tournament for the belt. So it's been a little while since we've seen a Women of Honor belt kicking around. So from that announcement and stuff, I gotta assume that they're going to kick off this Women's Wednesday division with Angelina Love versus Quinn McKay. That's the only thing that's kind of out there. That's a storyline that needs to kind of be paid off, and they haven't really announced who the rest of the competitors are or anything like that. I'm sure over the course of the next couple of weeks they'll use some of that to build up with, though. But I'm excited to see it. I mean, women's wrestling is definitely grown around the country, and gosh, when we were in Florida for WrestleMania weekend, we saw a ton of great women's talent that I wasn't familiar with, and there's certainly a lot of room for them on a lot of shows. So it's nice to see they're getting essentially their own show, and outside of Stardom and a couple of other places, like, this is a promotion that's dedicating an entire media hour or 2 hours or however long the show's going to be to just women's wrestling, to kind of give them their own thing. So I think it's really cool.
I am personally hoping, as somebody who went to Maryland Championship Wrestling up there in their, Ring of Honor's home base, that they are going to bring in Gia Scott and Aria Palmer. Those are former women's champions. Actually, Gia is the current women's champion at Maryland Championship Wrestling. So I'm hoping that they're going to use those. I think Gia was part of the original tournament that they were supposed to do last summer. So,
and don't sleep on my new favorite, Lady Frost.
She's
also in that area as well.
Yep, she was there for a MCW show before the pandemic too, and it was right before. It was like December maybe. So
yeah,
hopefully we see her there too, along with Billie Kay, Peyton Royce, Mickie James. Anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of talent we can pull from at this point. A couple of them got released, and there's Chelsea Green that's kicking around out there too. So I hope that ROH kind of takes that, and they're not shy about, there's no such thing as a forbidden portal. ROH will grab you from anywhere. If you're a local wrestler, if you just came off of WWE's locker room, they're gonna find a space for you and at least get you in there if you can go. So I think good things all around. I'm happy to see where ROH is going. They had their 500th episode on Saturday. Very interesting couple of matches that were really good, and nice to see some of the guys that are kind of the pillars of ROH go. And it's good to see this attention and focus back on the Women of Honor as well, because it's kind of been missing from the show.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think with that, we can switch to AEW now.
I'm ready.
So I'm going to bring in John and John. I think I got to take you out first.
Yeah, that's usually what happens.
This is a mind thing for me. So Travis is gone. John is in. I think then Travis and then John. I think that's how we got to do it. No, as soon as I put the Let's see.
All right.
Holy cow. Honestly, I will take a bow. That was great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All Elite Wrestling. We're going to talk about Dynamite from last week. I've got the picks interspersed as we go. John DeConnie, going straight to you. First and foremost, how about that belt? What do you think?
Yeah, just so everybody could play along, I pulled up a picture off of the Twitter feed of the gentleman who made it, and it's probably not going to show up. But
Good
yeah,
enough.
there you go. You got the Lions on the side plate, you got the NJPW Strong logo in the center, made by the same guy who made the new world title that everyone absolutely hated. This one I think is perfect for what it is. It's their American show, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So this one's a lot more plain than most of their belts. At least the heavyweight and the light heavyweight. And it's nice and crisp looking. You got the Lions on the side. You got the big logo in the center. Good looking belt.
All right. Well, John DeConnie has given it the stamp of approval. I am not authority in this. I just know what I like and what I don't. But if John says it's good, then he's the authority.
So I just disliked that heavyweight belt until it was known to me that it was going to go on Ospreay's waist. I think the belt shape looks great on Will Ospreay. Other wrestlers, not so good.
Fair enough. All right, but back to you, John DeConnie. AEW now. The Young Bucks had their title defense against Pac and Ray Phoenix to start last week's Dynamite.
Yeah, the Bucks themselves started off the show backstage saying that it's time for a new, better version of the Bucks, and they were chopping up their old multicolored tights and whatnot. They come out in mostly gray and white. They're showing off their fancy footwear and whatnot. So they're really putting themselves over as heels. And boy, they really cemented that by the end of this match. So you got the Bucks versus Pac and Phoenix. I mean, geez, could you come up with 4 more incredible athletes to put in one ring? These guys tear the house down for about 25 minutes. And we get towards the ending sequence, and we have Nick Jackson behind the referee's back. The referee was kind of to the side of him. He was leaning up against the ropes. Pac came up from behind to try and gut wrench him off the ropes, and he mule kicked him just out of the view of the referee. Then you got, but Phoenix had blind tag. He's in, and now Nick, to really cement what a heel he is, pulls Phoenix's mask off. Then you get the double super kick from the Bucks, and Nick pins Phoenix, who kind of just didn't know what to do with himself. He was too busy covering up. He got rolled up after the super kick, and wow, the Bucks are now top D-bags on the card, pretty much.
Honestly, I'd like to know what Phoenix's record is, and if you take all the losses off where his mask was removed. Because those Bucks, whether the Bucks are faces or heels, they always pull off Ray Phoenix's mask. Those jerks. Well, Alex Marvez had a conversation with Hangman Page in the back, asking about the Young Bucks and what they were up to. Hangman just says, "Oh, thanks for asking about Silver's shoulder. It's coming along fine." And then he leaves. This week, we have Hangman Page versus Ricky Starks. Travis, I'm going to start with you. Where do you think this one's going to go? We got Hangman and Starks. Hangman's a top guy. Starks is on the climb.
Yeah, Starks is on the climb. I'd love to see Starks win this match because I think he's phenomenal, and I think he's one of those young guys that's going to be a pillar. And not to take anything away from Hangman, but Hangman was kind of hot shot to that position when he got to be in the first real main event against Jericho, and I definitely think they made the right choice on where the belt went. But it feels a lot like Hangman is going to the top of this card, and what a story it would be, Hangman versus Kenny for the belt after some. A bunch of different stuff towards the end of the year this year. So I don't see Hangman losing here, though. If it were to happen, I think we're going to see some maybe like Blood and Guts is coming up. I can't imagine it's going to be one match that's 2 hours, which means if you're going to bring out the War Games rings and stuff like that, you got to have a whole faction to do it with. So if we're going to throw the Dark Order out here and maybe Team Taz comes to break it up, we could have Team Taz with Hook in the gang and any of the 27 Dark Order members in the ring as the first blood and guts opener match. That's the only way I see Hangman losing this would be, Hobbs or Cage or something like that. And maybe they'll blow that off in a blood and guts to start that show with Cage kind of ripping apart everybody in that faction, which I think is coming.
So James Wheeler has a theory on the blood and guts too that I will put your comment up in a second here, James. I just want to get through these picks. John Smith, what do you think about the Ricky Starks and Hangman Page match?
I think Hangman's going to take that one, no doubt. I don't see how he doesn't win that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Travis just laid out one option. John DeConnie, do you have any other thoughts on this?
Yeah, just looking at it, of course, right off the top of my head, I say Page, and Page will be my pick. But the only thing that creeps up in the back of my head is I think we all kind of are in agreement that Page is headed towards Omega. And that's going to be amazing. That's some nice long-term storytelling. But it is long-term storytelling. The belt collector hasn't really even collected all but the one belt, well, two if you count AAA. So Hangman's already the number one contender. What do you do with him to stall this number one versus Omega, storyline? So maybe, like Travis alluded to, maybe we do get some kind of Team Taz interference here, and Starks go over. If I have to make a pick for points, I'm going to pick Hangman. But in the back of my head, I'm thinking they could do something here to at least push that off a little bit. Hangman at number one there.
I'm going to pick Hangman as well, but I like the thought process that you guys put behind playing sort of the devil's advocate there, because I like now that the doubt is creeping up in the back of my head. So we'll see. Travis, Chris Jericho and Dax. This is the first shots being fired in the Pinnacle and Inner Circle feud.
Well, I don't know. Pinnacle fired some shots and dropped some people on some tables and stuff, and then just being regular guys in their own dressing room got attacked by a bunch of thugs, including Chris Jericho. So we had Dax versus Jericho, which is kind of out of all the guys was kind of weird, but people like seeing Jericho on, and it starts out pretty interesting, actually. They kind of called back to Dax getting his head split open during that melee that they had, and he goes over to the trainer's table to take a look just to get himself close enough to the mic to whale Jericho in the face with it, which I thought was a pretty smart spot for two heelish kind of guys. Then Jericho gets him back with a pen shot of his own and goes to the old classic Jericho cameraman. So we get to see Jericho's footage as Dax is kind of stumbling around after the pen shot. The match kind of goes on. We've got Tyson that's here, which Max tried to have just a normal conversation with Tyson, make sure that he was going to go right down the middle and help their odds a little bit in this match with some above board tactics. Tyson said, nope, he didn't want anything to do with that. So we got a couple of guys down at the ring. The match kind of breaks up with, there's a Judas that goes on that Dax ducks. So we still haven't ever seen anybody kick out of the Judas effects. Then he got hit with the code breaker. You got Pinnacle that comes from the back. Okay, then everybody from Inner Circle comes from the back and busts it up. Eventually, poor Cash Wheeler decides that he's going to grab the baseball bat to help out. And, that guy who's supposed to be there to enforce the match punches him right in the face. Tyson lays out Cash. Sammy distracts Dax. Judas gets hit. Then we find out that those dirtbags from the Inner Circle they're bringing Mike Tyson into the Inner Circle. I don't know. Is he gonna be the enforcer for Blood and Guts too? He's punched Sean Spears now, Cash Wheeler. He's like a hitman. This goon squad of Inner Circle guys.
I know.
I don't know how he can't be like barred from the ring, or can we get him in the shark cage, the Kevin Owens, the Jericho cage, or the JJ cage above the cage. We get 13 Cage, Christian Cage and Brian Cage can watch with Dallas Page and Ethan Page. I was disappointed with the finish, especially with Tyson being a new member of the Inner Circle. I think he's a marked man. Like, anybody can call him out for matches at this point, and I hope he watched what happens to celebrities that get involved in matches that aren't named Bad Bunny.
All right, that's your comedy segment from Trey. So there was a little bit of summary in there, but a lot of judgment.
I got to call it right down the middle of the way that Max would want me to.
Yeah, exactly. And you did. Okay, well, I will do a brief summary of the Jade Cargill and Red Velvet match. Red Velvet missed a moonsault. Jade Cargill hit Jaded. 7 minutes, 34 seconds. That's the end of the match. Britt Baker then brings up the stats to show us, yes, Red Velvet has now the same number of losses as her, but Britt Baker has more wins, so she's moving up the ranks. Keep that in mind for when we talk about the women's title match, which we will right now. Tay Conti versus Hikaru Shida. I'll start with you, John DeConnie. Do we have a title change in the women's division tomorrow night?
Oh God, I would love that so much because I am all in for Tay Conti, but I think Shida has had the belt for so long at this point. It's going to be such a big moment. The belt changes hands, so I'm assuming they're going to hold it off for a pay-per-view or maybe even the main event of a weekly special, a special weekly episode of Dynamite. So, if gun to my head, I got to say Shida retains again.
Okay, John Smith. I think that's the common thought from everybody here is that Britt Baker's going to be that person who takes it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying it since last summer, though. So when the heck is it going to happen? I mean, I would love to see Tay Conti win it. I don't think she will, though. But she's not just a pretty face. She's a very skilled at jiu-jitsu as well. So. I wouldn't be taking her lightly. She knows what she's doing in there.
Okay. Travis? So John Smith and John DeConnie, you both picked Shida, though, right? Okay. Travis?
So I think this has got to be Shida unless we see Alex Reynolds dye his hair and they do some twin magic to get the cover here. It's got to be Shida going over, right? Unless there's some Dark Order help there. As sad as it is, the only way that I could see Tay Conti doing this is if they wanted to protect Shida for some weird way and use Tay Conti as a transitional champion to Britt. I think, with them being sort of unsure about Thunder Rosa in the future, I really feel strongly after that match with her that Britt's got to be the next one. And it just, like John said, though, gosh, we have been waiting a year at this point to have her have that title. Not that she hasn't done any character development, not that she hasn't been more lovable now and she had the nose thing that she had to deal with and stuff like that. But we're gonna go Shida for the money, I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Shida as well. But I will put this out there to do the same doubt in the back of your head thing. Shida has this long title reign, kind of like Walter. And Britt Baker's kind of already a star. So does Britt Baker gain a lot by being the one who takes down Shida? Not as much as Tay Conti would. Tay Conti's star would rise a lot if she was the one who took down Shida. And then Tay could lose to Britt in a month. It could be a short title reign, but that win would do more for Tay than it would for Britt. So I'm still picking Shida, but that's just something I'll put out there into the ether. Anthony Ogogo. One move, one punch, down goes Cole Carter, 52 seconds. Your match has been summarized. On to QT Marshall and Billy Gunn this week. That is going to be our Factory versus Nightmare Factory match for the week. And I'm going to start with John Smith, Nightmare Factory guy, right? You're going to probably side with Cody and friends on this. So, is it going to be Billy Gunn or is it going to be QT Marshall?
I think it's QT Marshall. I think they got to establish them now that they got their whole group going. They're one of many factions, but they got to help make themselves stand out. And I think this is going to be the first step to that.
Right. Now, Travis, I said on the morning show that it almost doesn't matter which one of these guys wins because it's really the Anthony Ogogos and the Aaron Solos and the Lee Johnsons that are really the center of this feud that are going to really benefit the most. So at this point, Billy Gunn or QT Marshall, I don't remember who you told me this morning, so you can feel free to
I don't know if I ended up making a pick. And I'll go with John Smith's logic in that Billy Gunn, you've been in the arena. the guy walks out and the place erupts, whether he's in the match or not. So he doesn't need anything for his star shine. QT kind of being the Brutus in this situation with the big turn. I think he needs to, if he's going to establish himself in that character more, needs this win the most. But I think the finish and how it gets pulled off is going to be the most important one. There's probably going to be some sort of a scrum or some kind of a melee, or, if a go-go comes out and jacks Billy in the jaw or something like that. I think this has got to be setting the table for the continuation of that story. So I'll be interested in how they decide to wrap this match up rather than maybe just the action in the ring.
Now, wrestling fans are the ones that are watching the show, so I just want to make it clear that Travis was not talking about Brutus Beefcake in that comment. He was talking about Brutus, who double-crossed Caesar, which is something Jake the Snake brought up and blah, 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 blah. So, John DeConnie. Billy Gunn, if he went to WWE, as Travis indicated, Billy Gunn is over like crazy. He could go to WWE and be Universal Champion tomorrow. That's how over he is. But do you see him getting past QT Marshall?
I think not if the people booking it, have their heads on their shoulders and not elsewhere in their anatomy. So, yeah, I think QT's got to put a stamp on his new group by getting a victory.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to pick Billy Gunn. It's a feel-good moment on Dynamite. I'm picking Billy Gunn.
What an ass,
Crowd
man.
will go crazy. All right, so Don Callis and crew, they were talking. Don Callis says, just when you think you've seen it all, you haven't seen anything. Be prepared to be surprised again. He might have been talking about Billy Gunn's win here. Not sure. Chris Statlander beat Amber Nova 2 minutes and 53 seconds. Welcome back to our alien. She used a package pile driver modification thing. Thunder Rosa was on the show. She said that both Sheeta and Serena Deeb better watch out. She's coming for both belts. But our next match that we need to pick, we have Trent and Penta El Zero Miedo. John DeConnie, this morning on the morning show, I said to Travis, this is the every 6 months we bring Trent out to show everybody how good he is match. And who do you think walks away with the win? He doesn't have to win to show how good he is.
True. But Penta's another one of those guys that whether he wins or loses, no one's going to have less respect for him next time. So in my head, I'm trying to figure out how Trent wins this because I think Trent, it would make sense his first match back or, his first major singles action back, he would get the win here. So I'm going to pick Trent, but I'm not terribly enthusiastic about the pick or confident.
John DeConnie has picked Trent. He wasn't even considering the fact that Trent has an alien in his corner. What say you?
I go against my friend. I got to go with Penta. He's my best friend.
Fair enough. And on the subject of best friends, they'll also be at ringside, both Cassidy and Chuck Taylor, Travis.
Yeah, I wish I knew if Sue was going to be in the crowd or not. I feel like Trent's win record is much higher if she drives him to the ring in that caravan, which sometimes is used as a weapon. I like Penta better than Trent, but I feel like with Trent coming back from the injury, he's probably going to get the win here, unless we see the first women's member of Death Triangle. We move to a Death Square or a Death Rhombus, depending on how they want to do it, to interfere. Set up feud with the alien could possibly happen. So I'm going to pick Trenta.
What?
It's a combination of Trent and Penta.
So, fine. But now tell me who you think could.
I'll take Trent.
Who could potentially be this person who makes up the Death Rhombus?
I know who it's not. It's not going to be Ivelisse.
Yes. But Diamante would be a nice.
Diamante would be a real good pick for me. Who knows? Chelsea Green?
Yeah, not for 90 days, but
not for 90 days though. Maybe she just show up in a big head or something. Yeah, Diamante would be neat for throwing a fourth in there.
Sure. So Christian Cage, he was playing the role of Sting on last week's Dynamite. He was introduced and brought out by Tony Schiavone. It's Christian, which Taz promptly interrupted because that's what he does to Tony Schiavone. Just terrible luck with interviews, that poor guy. Basically, all of that, Taz told Cage and Starks to stay in the back. Hobbs came out. The violence ensued. This week, it's Powerhouse Hobbs versus Christian Cage. John Smith, pick me a winner.
It's too early for Christian to lose, I think. So I'm going to go with Christian. I could see him losing by deceitful means, but I don't think they're ready for that yet.
This morning on the show, as you bring up the deceitful means, this morning on the show, Travis, you were talking about Christian Cage possibly getting disqualified, which is almost unheard of in AEW. You've had time to think about it.
So now that I've had time to think about it, I think it's really ridiculous that Cage and Starks had to stay in the back because Taz was worried about them exploding, and Hobbs actually broke chairs over Christian's head. I would love to see Will Hobbs win this thing and really stain up the early Christian, and then we're outwork everybody, and we got to kind of fight from underneath to establish ourselves and go, you know what, maybe we're not hot shit, and this is a much bigger opponent than what he faced with Frankie Kazarian, and has no familiarity. And right now he's kind of in that Sting position outside of having Darby where he has no friends really. I don't think we've seen anybody that, what did we have, Mox maybe come out one time or whatever. I'm going to take Hobbs just on the outside chance that I think that Team Taz sort of needs to transition into something, and if it's not going into that blood and guts that I set up, something interesting around Christian might be cool, but it feels like they sort of just did that with Sting too, so it's a tough match to call. I think John Smith's logic is sound. It's early for Christian, and it doesn't really establish him if he loses, but again, Christian's one of those people where I don't think it hurts him to lose either. So right. I'm going to take Hobbs just to be an outlier when it comes to that.
All right. John DeConnie.
Yeah, I think Christian. Well, first and foremost, what I'll be rooting for is they don't give this a 20-minute spot like they did to poor Christian the first time, when clearly his cardio was not ready to go with Frankie Kazarian for 20 minutes. So I think Hobbs will kind of ragdoll him around a little bit. We'll see a lot of the power from the powerhouse. And then I think maybe there's some kind of Team Taz mix-up while they're trying some skullduggerous behavior, and Christian hits a roll-up after Hobbs gets hit in the head by either Cage or Starks or, Hook. Who knows? But I'll go with Christian Cage.
Yeah, I will go Cage as well, but I think you're right in the sense that Will Hobbs is going to absolutely destroy him, and then it'll be a Mahi straw cradle or an inside cradle or some crazy out wrestling type maneuver for Christian to get the W. John Smith, main event of last week's Dynamite was a Falls Count Anywhere match between Darby Allin and Matt Hardy.
Yeah, it was nice to see Matt Hardy in a main event for once in a long while, because he, ever since he came in, he was the big name a year or so ago when he first came in, but then another big name, 5 gimmick changes later, and now he's finally back on the main event, and he put on a really good match with Darby. He started off beating him to hell with the chair, and then once Darby got the upper hand, Hardy's privates came out to help him, and then the Dark Order comes out to help Darby with Sting in tow, which is is Sting, trying to tell us something? Why are they both out at the same time? Why are they coming out at the same time? But, once they cleared everybody out of the way, we come back from commercial and Lance Archer's out there, and he puts a move down just to stick it in Sting's face, because I think we're getting Lance Archer versus Sting pretty soon. Hardy and Darby then just go all over the place, beating the crap out of each other, and it ends with Darby doing a coffin drop off the tower, whatever you want to call it, the light tower. I guess he was maybe 15, 20 feet up in the air, and then I give him some credit, man. That's not easy to do. Just let yourself fall from there. Yes. The announce table, no less. They never do announce table stuff in AEW.
Yeah, 15 years from now, we will be talking about how A&E has signed deal with AEW to do the biography series on some AEW wrestlers. We'll be talking about how Darby Allin went through all the putting his body through Mick Foley type of maneuvers. So stay tuned for that. But Darby Allin's not done. He must continue to defend that title. And so this week he has Jungle Boy. Big face versus face match. These are the two guys that have been built up basically as the baby faces that they've been trying to build as new stars from the very beginning of the program. Travis, what do you think? Is this a title change?
I hope so. I think that it could do. I think Darby is established now. He had the rub and the shine from Sting. Jungle Boy's kind of been around, not put in any real big spots or anything like that. Certainly worked his butt off. Deserves the belt. I think we're going to see TNT title changes happen on TNT. So if this is as good a challenger as I've seen. He's in a similar weight class and style. We're going to see a lot of good moves. I wish I knew if this was going to be the opener or not, because if I thought it was the opener, I would say no. I would say that Allin would retain. But and it's weird for me to think that they're going to do it as the finish too, because Darby was just main evented last week. So it's a tough one to call. I'm going to take Jungle Boy. It's probably more with my heart than my head, because I think this is a good time for an elevation, and they need something to, they popped that big rating last week. I think this would give them another thing and a reason why people would want to tune in live every week. Look at titles can change, that kind of thing. We saw none of that last week. It was pretty chalk. So that's yeah. And that's the other thing too. We got a live crowd here, right? So live crowd, there are going to be a lot of spots probably because the two of those guys can jump around the ring pretty good. So I think it would be neat. And in a face win versus another face is interesting too.
Okay. John DeConnie, do you think this is a title change? You think we're going to get a new champion tonight or tomorrow night?
I don't. I like what Travis is thinking. I wouldn't be upset to see it go that way, but I think if I've got to put money on it, I would say Darby retains, because I think he's too much of a, not that he's a, whatever they call it, the white meat baby face. He's not that super smiley baby face. Obviously he's a darker character, but I think he's too entrenched as a favorite to waste a title change without using that to make some kind of monster heel get over. So I'm going to say they're not going to do it here, face versus face. Not that I would be pissed to see it happen. Give me Darby.
Okay. Smith, I was pretty critical of Darby Allin's initial run as champion because he held that belt forever before he ever made a first defense. But now he's beaten Brian Cage. I think he's even beaten Ricky Starks. He's got Matt Hardy done. This would be deep into his run now. Is it time?
I think it is. I think they gave him all these victories in a row just because they were going to get the title off of him soon. Jungle Boy is the perfect guy to put this belt on. He's such a fan favorite. I think he's more of a fan favorite than Darby, to be honest with you. There's not a single person that's not, chanting to his song when he comes out. It's, that, and I think that's perfect to have as your TNT champion. Your champ is like one of the most over guys in the company. So I think it's time, and I think they're going to put it on him.
Yeah, and the other thing I was thinking is that, it's face versus face, and that's kind of awkward a little bit, but with Kenny Omega working on top as a heel, I think they're going to keep this TNT championship on a face for a while. So I think I'm going to pick Jungle Boy. It's more of a pick from my heart. And John DeConnie, there is no money on the line here, so I feel okay about that. So even if I lose, my money stays in my pocket. So that's it for AEW. But before you leave, I want to ask you about Kenny Omega and Rich Swann. The rest of us are going to have time to talk about that at the end of the show, but Kenny Omega has a chance to collect a belt. You think he's going to do it?
Yeah. Yep. I do. I think if this was on Moose, I'd probably have a different look. But since it's on Rich Swann, I think this is probably part of the deal initially to give him another belt. You got Morrow coming in to call the match, and you got Aubrey there to ref it. So you got a great story that Impact can tell about how you brought in your own ref or whatever. And there's some issues there, even though Aubrey's a straight shooter. Yeah, I think we're going to see Kenny go over here to get that belt, at least to just add some chaos to it, because, and I had to agree with him a week or so ago. I listened to Eric Bischoff talk about nobody cares about this Impact AEW crossover stuff. Since the first couple of weeks when it was hot for a little bit, it hasn't really done much to Impact's ratings. AEW's gotten a little bit. They've kind of traded the Good Brothers back and forth. We had the time with the private party stuff, but other than that, we know Sammy was supposed to go and he didn't go and stuff. They need some kind of a fire to make this thing matter again. And I think this immediately does that and puts, 3 belts on Kenny front and center. Okay, established champion and stuff. And it gets people talking up that again, as opposed to just Good Brothers with Don Callis over on AEW doing the heel thing. And they've been good. But it hasn't been, a rivalry thing like a belt changing hands would be, because as soon as that happens, I think it's gloves off and anything can kind of happen. I think we'll see some more Impact people come over. If you put, if you give Jungle Boy the belt, maybe we see Ace come over and mess with him or something like that, in some real interesting stuff that I'm hoping to see. Hopefully we see Sammy Canelhan come over and fight with Moxley and Kingston, who are, somehow missing from this show, but hopefully we'll get to see some of them and catch up with them. The only other thing that I'll say about this show is, I know a couple of weeks ago we were kind of critical about how unremarkable the booking looked, because the matches looked pretty straight. And maybe I'm overthinking on some of my picks here, but it's nice to see this card from AEW put together where you actually have to think about what the finish might be, as opposed to thinking, these are a bunch of matches that are kind of one-sided on your Dynamite thing. So hopefully the new TV thing has them with more exciting weekly events for us, because, a couple of weeks ago it was pretty vanilla.
Yeah. And by the way, I forgot to put up the TNT Championship graphic. Both those guys were undefeated, by the way.
Oh, that's
4-0-6-0. That doesn't really change anything, I don't think, because somebody has to take an L here.
No.
So, Travis, I think we'll bid you adieu. Thank you for your analysis and picks. We're going to be moving into SmackDown and Raw. So,
have fun, gents. Good night. Happy 50th.
Thank you.
Good, Trev.
All right. Now we've got everybody where they need to be as we move into SmackDown. And guys, I think we might have to hustle a little bit. We still got SmackDown, Raw, Impact, and Rebellion to get through. So we're going to put on the afterburners when we get to the Impact show last week, but we'll give SmackDown and Raw their due. So I will say Michael Cole introduced Pat McAfee as the new commentator on SmackDown, and I thought he did a great job. I liked that he stood up. He was into it. So good on you, Pat. And from there, John Smith, it was Roman Reigns thinking that he was on top of the world and there would never be anybody to challenge him again.
Yeah, because after you see him stack Daniel Bryan and Edge, 2 Hall of Famers, on top of each other and pin them at the same time in the main event of WrestleMania, who the hell else is going to want to come out and challenge him one-on-one? The answer to that is Cesaro. Because Cesaro is just the man to take that belt off of him, in my opinion. But I don't think it's going to happen eventually. But I think I would love to see Cesaro take that belt off of him. But look, later on, instead of Roman Reigns, he got Jey Uso, which was in the main event because, main event Jey. Why would you not be in the main event? So it was Cesaro putting on his strongman clinic. He played all the hits. He did the real slow suplex where, Jey was dead weight and he just kept going with it until he was up there. He did a nice drop kick to Jey while he was sitting on the top rope. You got to get pretty elevated for that. We didn't see a UFO, unfortunately. And when he put on the Cesaro swing, that's when we got Seth Rollins puts his nose back into Cesaro's business. So Cesaro's going to, I guess, have to dispose of him at WrestleMania Backlash before he gets himself the title shot at Roman Reigns. But, I'm willing to wait as long as Cesaro gets himself a nice main event against Roman Reigns at some point.
Yeah, and they didn't announce that Cesaro versus Seth Rollins match for Backlash, but you got to assume it's coming. So yeah, there you go. Thank you, John. That was a good summary of the main storyline that fed through all of SmackDown. But I do want to let people know that, hey, Rey Mysterio got a win over Otis on this show, and Otis was not happy about that. Also, Apollo Crews backstage, he let us know that it's the Nigerian nail from Commander Aziz that he used to take out Big E at WrestleMania. No signs of Big E on this show, though. And John DeConnie, I'll go to you. We had a tag team title match on this show as well.
We did. We had the Street Profits come out initially for Bianca's championship celebration. And, she did her all shucks baby face routine and almost managed to be humble throughout the whole thing before going back to I'm the greatest, the goodest, the bestest, whatever. And we saw Sasha backstage. She's so pissed about the whole thing. She can't even speak at this point. So I'm sure there's more to come from them down the line. And then they cleared out the pretty carpet and the balloons and whatnot. And we had the Dirty Dogs, Ziggler and Rude versus the Street Profits. And the Profits were in some new blue and white outfits. They were matching the whole decor. And it really looked like they were going to put the straps right back on them. And Bianca even said, we only wear gold in this house. So Montez Ford might be in trouble because at the end of the day, even though they hit their the tag team finisher and Ford jumped out of the sky, there was a kick out that only went for 2, and then Ford shortly thereafter missed a blind tag. Ziggler came in while Ford was working on Rude, and he backed up right into a zigzag for a 1-2-3, and the Dirty Dogs retained.
No title change there. So Dirty Dogs got title defenses on back-to-back episodes of SmackDown. And John Smith, WrestleMania Backlash came early. Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn right on SmackDown. We don't have to wait till Backlash for that.
Right? I mean, I was plenty happy with this match. In fact, I thought this match was a little bit better than the WrestleMania match. It had more of a natural feel to it. This seems like a match that they've probably had 20 times before. Mm-hmm. But this is probably like the first time they did it on WWE television, and they did all their stuff, and KO had the upper hand pretty much most of the match. Sammy got a nice little power bomb off the second rope at one point, and once KO started getting the upper hand, Sammy decided to crawl away and lose by count out. So I don't think this is over. I think we're still going to get them at WrestleMania Backlash, and maybe they'll put on like another clinic at that one too.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Now, before we finish and close the book on SmackDown, John DeConnie, Natalya, and Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler on every episode of everything that we have these days, it seems like.
Yeah, so we had Shayna up to her old tactic. She set Natty up for that elbow stomp and the joint. She was twisting her arms up, getting ready for the stomp. Tamina pulls Natty out of harm's way to safety. Nia jumps up on the apron. Shayna almost runs into her, and that little bit of a distraction allows Natty to hit a roll up for a 2-minute and 30-second win. And afterwards, Nia immediately attacks Natty. Tamina super kicks Nia's head off, and Natty and Tamina head back up the ramp victorious. Not much more to say about it. It was a short match. I don't know what in God's name they're doing with the women's tag division there, but, away we go.
Absolutely, away we go. Now I'm going to put the afterburners on Raw here, so I'll quickly say the Viking Raiders beat Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. Lana and Naomi beat Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. On Alexa's playground, she blamed everything she ever did wrong on her doll, Lily. Lily made her do it. Damian Priest got a win over The Miz. Sheamus is now in the business of doing open challenges, but he took out Humberto Carrillo before he could officially even answer the challenge. John DeConnie, tell us about the main event.
In the main event here, we had Asuka and Charlotte Flair. Rhea came out. She basically was announced like she was the third participant in the match right after the first two introductions. She took a seat right at the base of the ramp. But before too long, she started circling the ring with her title over her shoulder. Charlotte locks in the figure 8, which puts her in a back bridge. Rhea reaches in, grabs her arms, and breaks it up, releasing Asuka. Charlotte then grabs Rhea by the hair, tries to pull her into the ring, and that distraction allows Asuka to use a crucifix roll-up for a win. It was a little more than 9 minutes. It was a good match, even with the outside interference. But Charlotte didn't seem to think so, because after the match, she kind of went absolutely nuts and beat the living hell out of a referee, which led to her indefinite suspension. So who knows the next time we'll see the Queen.
Yes, indefinite suspension, $100,000 fine. Nice surprise for her. But John Smith, Randy Orton had a nice surprise early in the show as well.
Yeah, no. When I saw Riddle start taking shots at Randy Orton backstage, that I got really excited for this match. I didn't know I wanted this match until I saw Riddle zoom by him on that scooter. Oh man, and they didn't disappoint. We got Randy Orton just putting on a clinic, and then Riddle every so often putting on a move that Randy Orton would struggle to get out of. Like he kept putting him in a rear naked choke. He'd break out of it, get back, slap it back on. Break out of it, slap it back on. But then we got to see what we wanted to see Pete Dunne do to Riddle back in NXT. We got to see Randy Orton focus on his feet, and we got to see him stomping the feet and doing everything that people normally do when they attack the hands, which was fun to watch. And then out of nowhere, Riddle gets the backslide pin when Randy Orton goes for the RKO. So this definitely isn't even over either.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's no way Randy Orton's just going to let that loss lie. There's absolutely no chance of that. Riddle was all over the show. He had a conversation with the New Day, talking about silver dollar pancakes, all kinds of things on the show. Also, Elias got a victory over Kofi Kingston. Drew McIntyre defeated Mason T-Bar by disqualification when they wouldn't stop beating on him in the corner. Then we had Braun Strowman come out to make a save. Then you had Mason T-Bar. They got a win over Drew McIntyre and Braun Strowman only after Drew and Braun unmasked them. So to everybody's surprise, John DeConnie, Mason T-Bar are, in fact, Dio Madden and Dominik Dijakovic. Anything to add?
All I can say is I did not see that coming. I don't know what happened there.
I wonder if they're going to still be called Mason T-Bar, or if they're going to insult our intelligence and keep it that way. I mean, or we all know who they are, but how stupid are they going to make us think that we are?
Well, they're going to own Mason T-Bar and not own Dominik Dijakovic and Dio Madden. So I think that they'll market them as Mason T-Bar. That's my thought. But
those are both their real names?
Yes. Well, Dominik Dijak or something like that. Very close.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that pretty much puts the button on Raw. They had no matches that they announced out of SmackDown or Raw for us to pick, but we have some things on Impact, and we got to get into Impact so that we can get out of here in time for NXT. So quickly, some results from Impact last week. Josh Alexander beat TJP. Carl Anderson beat Crazy Steve. Jake Something defeated Brian Myers, and Sammy Canelhan defeated Matt Cardona. Those were Pick Your Poison matches. Picking for this week, though, Good Brothers versus Decay. I'll start with you, John DeConnie. Who do you think?
I think the Good Brother. I think everything's rolling towards the Bullet Club for this pay-per-view coming up. So give me the Good Brothers here. John
Smith?
Yeah, I got the Good Brothers winning this one, rolling into the pay-per-view with some momentum.
Yeah, it's a must-win for them. If they lose here, what right do they have to chase to face Finjuice? Now, the same we might want to say about this Tennille Dashwood and Susan match, unless somebody has some crazy theory. I'll start with you, John Smith. Tennille has Deonna Purrazzo this weekend.
Yeah, I know. I could see Tennille losing this match, though, because she already earned her shot at the title. So what does it matter if she loses this one? Susan can go all Sue Young on her halfway through the match, and it's justified,
Oh, don't tempt me. John DeConnie, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm going to pick Tennille, but I'm never going to say, well, come on, she's got a title shot. She can't possibly lose right before the pay-per-view, because the very last pay-per-view, I think that happened to Taya Valkyrie. So I'm going to pick Tennille, but, Impact going to Impact, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was Susan.
Well, Taya was doing favors because she was leaving the territory. So,
True.
And then finally, we have another preview of this weekend's Rebellion. We have Eddie Edwards versus Eric Young in a singles match, previewing their big 18-person tag match that they're having at the pay-per-view. John DeConnie, I'll go back to you with this one. Eddie Edwards or Eric Young?
This one's a coin flip for me. I'm going to go with Eric Young here, because it seems like Violent by Design seems to be getting the upper hand all the time here. So might as well keep that rolling. So it's that much more shocking when suddenly the, Impact lifers win over Violent by Design.
And John Smith?
I don't know. I think I'm going to go with Eddie Edwards on this one, because I think Violent by Design is going to come out on top at the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and call no contest. We know Eric Young's hurt. I think everybody rushes the ring and breaks it up, and we have no match here, really. And that leads us into Rebellion. So, with that in mind, we have a little visit here from Al and Tyler.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have our first pay-per-view of the 2021-22 Pro Wrestling Pick'em season. We are all zeroed out. Please come on to ProWrestlingPick'em.com. Let me get the graphic up. I can't even promote my own stuff correctly. Here we go. Go to ProWrestlingPick'em.com. Join the Essential Wrestling Podcast pool. We are all starting back fresh at zeros, or if you just want to play along with your friends, you have that option too. No one will interfere in your fun, so you can create a private pool with your own friends. I have that as well. Let's go into the scoring. Like I said, we're all at zero, but we'll throw up our records from last year. Just because I'm an ego hound, I wanted to show off that I came in first place overall. Tyler, I know you didn't get to participate in every show. Hopefully your schedule will allow you to partake a little bit more. We can get you out of the basement there. And then here we go again. Impact again. I had a nice little run at the beginning of 2021, 31 consecutive straight matches. There's a lot of perfect pay-per-view points in there. I kind of ran away with Impact. But we do have a new scoring system in place from ProWrestlingPick'em.com. Rebellion is one of Impact's Big Four pay-per-views. It is not an Impact Plus special. So for the Big Four, we're going to give them more points, with Bound for Glory getting the most. We'll cross that bridge when we get there in October. But Rebellion, we're going to triple the points. So you're going to have 15 points for an Impact Championship match, 15 points for the AEW title match. Do the math there, kids. That's a 30-point match right there. All other matches will be title matches will be 9 points. Any non-title matches will be 3. We have 2 interpromotional matches. Those will get 3 points added as well. So if we do the math for Rich Swan and Kenny Omega, you have 15 points plus 15 points plus the interpromotional 3. That's a 33-point match, equaling a 33-point perfect pay-per-view bonus. But Tyler, before Ryan and John get into their picks for Rebellion, I told you the news, your face lit up, so I tried to get on air as quickly as possible. There's more over now, though.
Pausing the video. Watch for Tyler's big expert analysis here.
Will be the play-by-play announcer for the main event, Kenny Omega and Rich Swan in their huge championship versus championship match.
It's awesome.
I know you're smiling. I'm smiling.
That's amazing. I'm so glad he's doing the match. That's awesome.
Great. Love the enthusiasm, Ty. All right. So, Ryan, I'm just going to kick it back to you. I don't know what you're going to be doing first or what match order you're doing right now. We're going to take a break, but then at the end of the 3 of them making their picks, we will hop on as well. We'll give our 2 cents in as well. So, Ryan, take it away, pal.
Okay, guys. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to start with Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steele defending their titles against Jordynne Grace and the question mark. The question mark being a mystery partner. So I'm interested. John DeConnie, you're our senior Impact correspondent. So please do tell us who you think Jordan Grace's tag team partner will be, and will they win?
Okay, I've been burned so many times, but I'm going to go down swinging the same way. I've been saying that I wanted to see. I had an idea of what was going to happen with the women's division here, and it's laying out the way I had hoped. And I'm hoping we didn't see ODB in a couple of weeks. Jazz is now retired. We put a nail in the coffin of Havoc and Nevaeh. I want to see the two big hosses of the women's division, Jordan and Havoc, and I will pick them to take the Knockouts tag team titles off of Fire and Flava.
Oh my goodness, you're picking against Jersey. John Smith, Kiera, and Tasha actually interrupted Jazz's retirement speech, and that's how we got in this situation, because Jordan and Jazz got a win, and Scott D'Amore wanted to give the match to Jazz, but Jazz said, no, I'm a woman of my word. She's going to pick that partner. Who's it going to be, and who's going to win?
I can't even begin to think of who it's going to be. Havoc makes sense, but I didn't even think of her. It's just, Jazz makes the most sense, but it's not going to be her. I'm gonna go with our Senior Impact correspondent here. I'm just gonna piggyback off of his ideas, and I'm gonna pick Jordan and question mark.
Okay. Well, in my analysis, Jazz is making the pick here, and she says that she has the perfect person. So I'm gonna dig way back into the treasure trove. And I'm gonna pull out Ivory. That's who it's gonna be. Ivory is the pick, and I think they are gonna win, because I don't know why you bring in somebody mystery and not have a win. So
maybe Gail Kim.
Oh, that might be a good one. Yeah. Well,
they've been. I don't know if you watch if you've been watching on Twitch or not. But on Twitch they don't have commercials. They show old Impact clips in between, when there should be commercials on the regular TV, and they've been showing a lot of Gail Kim lately.
Oh.
So I don't know if that means anything or if it's just random. They always show that stupid Scott Steiner thing that got parodied this past week at what's his name? Swingers Palace.
Yeah.
So, but they always show that one, and this is the first time they've ever done anything with it. But
well, maybe that's what'll happen. I know she is on payroll. She has a backstage role, so she could be right there and ready to go. John DeConnie, Violent by Design. They are going to be facing that team of Eddie Edwards, Willie Mack, Chris Sabin, and not pictured James Storm. Violent by Design has a 1-0 record as a 4-man unit. But what do you think in this match?
Yeah, I think Violent by Design has been having their way with most of their, however they juggle them up, whether it's singles, doubles, trios, and now as a 4-man unit. I think this is where they finally get their comeuppance. I'm going to say that Eddie, Willie, Chris, and Storm take this one at the pay-per-view.
I think I agree with you, with James Storm being the guy that's going to be the difference maker. What do you think, John Smith?
I alluded to it before. I got Violent by Design winning this one, and who knows? Maybe James Storm actually flips and he joins Violent by Design. It's something that could happen, or a fifth member of the group that we don't know of makes some sort of run in.
I'll tell you, nobody has worse luck than Eddie Edwards. So sorry about your damn luck. John Smith, Sammy Canelhan, and Trey. They've had a feud bubbling ever since Trey got back. Canelhan, he admitted to attacking Tommy Dreamer at Hardcore Justice just to get Trey on the pay-per-view. That was the straw that broke the camel's back, though. And now we have Sammy Canelhan versus Trey in a last man standing match at Rebellion. Who is going to stand? Who's going to walk away?
It's got to be Trey. It's got to be. I don't see how he doesn't win this the way they've been building up this whole feud for the past month, 2 months even.
Now, I was going to say, John DeConnie, that Sammy Canelhan doesn't ever seem to get any wins, but my win-loss records here seem to indicate otherwise. So I guess I can't really go with that. But What do you think on this? On this?
Yeah, so this is kind of a coin flip for me because because it's the last man standing, Sammy could do something absolutely terrible to get the victory here. But I think I'm going to go with Trey just because it makes the most sense. And boy, does that get you in trouble when you're picking Impact matches.
Yeah, I'm picking Trey too, and I think it's because Sammy's going to take a ridiculous bump of some kind or have some big weapon, light tube, thumbtack thing happen to him. So that's my thought on that. Now, moving along, though, we have a match that I think we've been kind of thinking we were going to see ever since basically April 15th of last year, and that is Brian Myers versus Matt Cardona. And I put here on the graphic, Internet Championship not on the line here. But Brian Myers 4-3, Matt Cardona 3-1. I'll start with you, John Smith. What do you say?
I say that I get their two names mixed up still sometimes because there'll always be Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder to me. But I'm going with Cardona, aka Zack Ryder. I think this is your true like heel face storyline where the face prevails. You know, something like out of the late '80s, early '90s. You know.
Now, John DeConnie, last I knew, Cardona was working date by date, Matt, whereas Brian Myers under contract. Not sure if that makes a difference here. I like John Smith's logic. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Smith is 100% right here. Myers got the quick victory last week and then picked Sammy Canelhan for Cardona, and Cardona has a loss going into this. So, yeah, I think Cardona, gives us our happy moment here where the babyface goes over at the big pay-per-view.
Yeah, we're all on the same page here. I think Cardona gets this win as well. Now, the odds are at question in this next match. It is the X Division Championship match. According to Swingers Palace, TJP is the odds-on favorite to win. But as John Smith alluded to earlier, the inventor of the Canadian Destroyer, P.D. Williams, did some magic math, Steiner style, with his headgear. And apparently Josh Alexander in the Steiner world is the odds-on favorite. So, John Smith, I'll go to you since you brought it up earlier. Here are their win-loss records. Who do you think is going to walk out with the X Division Championship?
Oh, man. They've been pushing Josh Alexander so hard lately. I don't think they're going to put it on him, though. I think Ace Austin's going to retain somehow, some way.
Okay. John DeConnie, this is the year of Ace Austin, as you have foretold. Does he need to drop this X Division Championship now so that he can move on to the next championship?
I don't think so here for exactly the way that Smith put it. I think was perfect with it. Josh, it really seems like they're moving towards Josh. But I'm going to go back to something that got me in trouble WrestleMania weekend and say, I think there's going to be some title changes here, so somebody's got to retain, and might as well be Ace Austin. So give me Ace to retain here. Maybe him and Josh go head up somewhere down the line, and that's where Josh finally takes it. But give me Austin here, Rebellion.
Okay. That logic would have been not served you well at WrestleMania. A lot of title changes there, although there were quite a few retentions. I mean, you had Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Bobby Lashley, Roman Reigns. So you got that. But
all the ones I didn't pick.
Well, a lot of points on the line there. A lot of points on the line. So and we have another championship match here, and I'm curious to know whether this is the one that you're picking for a change. We have Deonna Purrazzo and Tenille Dashwood. It is the Knockouts Championship, John DeConnie.
And this one is one of the ones where I didn't labor too long on it. No offense to Tenille, but I think Deonna makes fairly short work of her. I think Deonna will definitely.
I've got Deonna here too, John Smith. She's 5-0, seems to be untouchable. Do you think Tenille Dashwood, I don't care how cool her sunglasses are, but do you think she can be the person who knocks off Deonna Purrazzo?
No, definitely not. I think I like the dynamic of the heel versus heel, of course. That's my thing. And we don't really ever see it with the women. We do get it now and then across wrestling with the men, but I can't remember a heel on heel action with the women, especially a match that means so much. So, Deanna's going to win. This is just another win to feed Deanna as her resume keeps getting more impressive.
Yep. I got Deanna too all the way. Deanna's probably going to hold that belt till Jordan Grace takes it off for John DeConnie. That's what I'm saying.
Either that, or in the next couple of weeks, we get Wild in the Impact Zone, and I see Deanna coming out and saying, "I've beaten everybody there is to beat. Who's left on the roster for me?" And then we get Wild.
Yeah. Well, we have two more matches, both interpromotional. Finn Juice versus the Good Brothers for the Impact World Tag Team Championships come up first. John DeConnie, I'll go back to you. Are the belts staying in Japan, or are they coming back home to the Impact Zone?
I would really love to see Finn Juice defend them here and hold on to him for a little while longer. And if I thought maybe they were going to be in America, I don't know how long they're going to stay this trip, but I think things are rolling towards we saw the Bullet Club last week on AEW outside near their car, and they're all gathered around. They're all buddy, arm in arm. And I think we're just going to get a replay of that sometime soon, except there's going to be a lot more gold in the picture. So give me the Good Brothers to get their belts back here.
Okay, that's interesting analysis, John Smith. Do you think those belts are also going back?
Yeah, I definitely think the Good Brothers win it. I think they looked a little out of place not having some gold on their shoulders while the other Bullet Club members were talking so much smack back there. And then you got Don Callis right in front of them calling the Young Bucks the greatest tag team in the world. And, they got the belts to prove it, and the Good Brothers don't. So they need to get those back.
Yeah, I'll go for that. I could also see a scenario where that Bullet Club faction falls apart and the Good Brothers bring home the AEW Tag Team Championships. Because if, depending on how this last match goes, if they're trading belts back and forth, companies might want to keep things somewhat even. But I'll pick the Good Brothers here, and then Kenny Omega and Rich Swann. Of course, we have one more Impact before, so you guys, your picks aren't totally locked in now. A lot can happen on Thursday, but Rich Swann, he would be the shocking win. Kenny Omega's the one that everybody thinks will win. Swann is the one that would actually, cause the most ripple. So, John Smith, you take first go.
Well, I think a lot of what Travis was saying earlier is right. But with the ratings, how they haven't really shown much since this AEW invasion, except for that first week. But I think it's because this match is so predictable, and nobody in their right mind thinks that Rich Swann's coming out with all three of those belts. So I think once we get this over with, then the ball can really start rolling with this Impact versus AEW thing, because now they got our belts hostage.
Yeah,
especially because there's two belts now. The TNA belt, whether you recognize it personally or not, it's now recognized as a championship in Impact. So, they got their two top belts on somebody else, and then they're gonna have to send some renegades over to try to recover them.
John DeConnie, some of what John Smith is saying is part of the reason why I think maybe Finn Juice might retain, because it would make for an interesting story if all the Impact belts just aren't in Impact anymore. But what do you think here? Does Rich Swann have a chance at taking that belt home at the AEW World Championship?
We try to lay out scenarios that it could go either way here, but this is about as cut and dry as a match I think we're ever going to pick. If all this hasn't been leading up to the belt collector adding two more belts to the collection, then I don't know what's going on. Give me Kenny Omega here being, he's going to need the Bucks and the Good Brothers to help him hold up his arms as he lays out all four belts when he shows up on AEW the next week.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I'm picking Kenny Omega here. As much as I think that the shock and awe of Rich Swann winning would be so worth it, I think Kenny Omega is our guy in this match. And we've all had our choice, that we've picked all the matches, and we've had our say. Now let's give Al and Tyler their time to let us know what they're picking.
All right, so John, Ryan, they all made their picks. They are all set. Tyler, let's discuss a little bit real quick. It's the 50th episode. God damn it, if we're not going to be on this in some way, shape, or form other than a cold open. So we're going to go through the Rebellion card right now. Let's have some fun here. Let's get that graphic up top. Boom, we are in Rebellion mode. There we go. Tyler, there's an 8-man tag team match. You got Violent by Design, who won an 8-man tag team hardcore match at Hardcore Justice. Therefore, their squad is intact. But this time, Eddie Edwards is going to be joined by James Storm, Chris Sabin, and the man with the best wrestling entrance music on the planet, Chocolate Thunder Willie Mack. Who do you got in this one?
I'm going to take Violent by Design.
All right, I'm going to go with the heels on this one. I figured the key is what I mentioned here, Tyler, and this is my thought process. Who knows if I'm right or wrong here? This is not. Doesn't sound like this was announced as a hardcore match. So this is violent within the rules, I guess, for Eric Young and his squad. Not to mention, Eric Young, shout out to him. It came out that he blew his ACL in that it was the match. It was James Storm's thousanth match before Hardcore Justice. He's been trucking through it. So shout out to Eric Young.
Yeah.
In a match tie that's got. I'm sorry, Ty. What were you saying?
No, he's an absolute trooper.
Absolutely, that's it. You know, see that the Canadian and the hockey player mentality. You got to, take this guy.
Seth Rollins disappeared when he blew his knee out.
Yeah. So Tyler, in a match that is going to be near and dear to your heart, Long Island's going to explode here with Matt Cardona and Brian Myers.
I don't want either one of them to lose. They're both Long Island guys, but I guess if they're both Long Island guys, I win either way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take Brian Myers here.
Okay, I'm with you on that one too. I think Myers has he's got the motivation in this. I can totally see Cardona winning and then Myers going insane. I can see that happening just as much as I can see Myers. I have a lot of good guys winning here, so especially in the lower end of the card. So I figured, I'll throw Brian Myers, cheat to win. Right now, that's kind of been his thing.
Yeah.
In a match where Sammy Canelhan, he's been saying a lot lately that he's been I don't know if he's been wanting to make out with Trey Miguel, but he's saying he wants to teach him passion. So they're going to go at it. Trey Miguel obviously does not lack passion in the ring. I can tell you that. He's fired up right now.
Oh, yeah. And that's why I'm going to give him a pick. I'm going to go with Trey Miguel.
Yeah, I got Trey Miguel on that one as well. Sammy seems like he's too much in control on that one. The Knockouts Tag Team Championships will be on the line. Fire and Flava, they lost. Jazz got the pin over them last weekend during her retirement speech. It was an impromptu match. None of them were in their wrestling gear. Jazz got the win, which earned Jordan Grace and Jordan's a partner of her choosing.
I mean, look, Al, I love my question marks.
Yes.
They're very enticing, and it gets you very worked up. So I'm taking Jordan Grace and her question marks.
Is it going to be CM Punk?
I mean, I would have a lot of questions to ask, but I hope.
Well, Eric Young is a former Knockouts Tag Team Champion, so it's not below them to put a female belt on a male.
Very true.
I'm not shying for Jersey. I'm never going to shy from Jersey. It's Tasha Steele, Newark, the Brick Street, right? City. Brick City, my Brick City babe there, Tasha Steele. So I'm going to go Fire and Flava on that one. Ace Austin's going to be in a triple threat match with Josh Alexander. And TJP, Josh Alexander's been on a roll lately.
Yeah. I mean, I've picked TJP the last couple of Impact shows, and he keeps breaking my heart.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go Josh Alexander on here just with the momentum behind him.
Yeah, he won the tag team match with Petey Williams, and then he beat TJP straight up in a wrestling match. No interference. Straight up contest. Josh Alexander got the win on TJP. I'm not going against Ace. Again, Jersey. It's just you're going to see a pattern. There's always a pattern with me in Impact. It's amazing how many Jersey. And they're all champions right now, Ty. That's why I want this to drag on as long as it possibly can be. In an interpromotional match, Thin Juice is going to be flying back stateside with the Impact Tag Team Championships. They're going to get Gallows and Anderson are going to get the rematch. Yeah, I mean,
It's a tough match to pick, but I'm going to go with the Good Brothers here. I think they get it that second time around.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to be I mean, I don't know what everyone's thinking. We haven't really discussed on the text chain or even on the I think a lot of people are going to be on Anderson and Gallows because you have to keep the belts, okay, it's fun. They were overseas. They were missing. I'm going to get Finn Juice here. And then bold prediction, I think they lose him Thursday to somebody else, like Saban and Storm. Maybe they give him Saban and Storm the tag match because they had it out with Finjuice in the beginning. That if they get the win over Violent by Design and the 8-man or help get the win there, I'm thinking maybe they come in, they bring the belts back home. I don't think they would give it back to Gallows and Anderson. I think the funny thing is, they lost them. They're getting, they were laughed at by DK. Eddie Edwards kicked them out of the locker room. I think that's a fun little thing that I want to keep going.
Yeah, I could definitely see that completely.
Okay, Knockouts champion Deonna Purrazzo, she's going to have her hands full. Tennille Dashwood, John Smith, little heel-on-heel action here. Tyler, how do you think this is going to go?
I'm on Team Jersey for this one. Deonna Purrazzo.
There you go. Yeah, I never bet against Deonna, and it's worked out well for me so far. But here's the wrench, Ty. I'm going to maybe call a little bit of a wrench here. This whole Su Yung thing, she came out at Hardcore Justice. She was back at Susie. If she's only showing up on pay-per-views, she's going to show up. And, that thing with her and Deonna is not over yet. So I can kind of see Su Yung at least distracting Deonna so Tennille can get a cheap win here.
Yeah.
And then Tennille can go forward with the Knockouts title and her brand new talk show, which was absolutely incredible last Thursday at Impact. I don't know if you watched or not. Her new talk show is where she's the guest, and she brings on hosts to interview her. Ask any question they want of her.
Hey, John.
It's a reverse. It's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's really
her.
Creative.
It's all about her, Ty. All about her.
No, that's creative. I like that.
So I can totally see that happening, but maybe Slammiversary. I don't know. I'm going to try to push this Su Yung thing off as long as possible. And then in the main event, we got history here, like we said in the intro of the Rebellion package, that Mauro Ranallo will be doing the play-by-play commentary for the main event, which will be AEW champion Kenny Omega against the Impact Undisputed champion, the Unified Impact TNA World Champion. That's a long title for those two belts.
Yeah.
Rich Swann. So the story here, Ty, is the one-winged angel. It's, Don Callis keeps on showing that video. They keep mentioning it. Kenny kind of squirmed out of it. The one Impact that nobody watched because TakeOver was on. Rich Swann, squirmed out of it. He avoided it. So,
I don't know. I mean, my heart's in three different places. My heart wants Rich Swann to win. My heart wants Kenny Omega to win, but my heart also wants to see a no contest because I don't know.
They mentioned just to put one of your hearts aside here for a sec, Ty. They had a press conference last week, and both Scott D'Amore and Tony Khan were present, and they said there will be a winner. So,
okay, so I'm going to put that heart to the side.
Yeah,
and I'm going to take Kenny Omega.
Yeah, I think this is a lock, Ty. I think this is. I got two bold predictions here. One with the match, and then one going forward. How does this look? I think that the whole talk about this is the one-winged angel, right? Or the one-winged angel, however you want to pronounce it. I think my bold prediction is Rich Swann kicks out of it. I think he kicks out of the first one, and maybe a one-winged angel off the second turnbuckle is what does him in. But I can, now that Moro's doing the announcing, I can see Rich Swann kicking out of it, and Moro just losing his bleep.
Couple Mamma Mias.
What's that?
Couple Mamma Mias.
Oh my God, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of Mamma Mias. This is gonna be like a 37, 38, 39 star match range. This is gonna be a great match. But the long-term prediction here, Ty, is that I got Kenny Omega too. I think everybody and their mother's taking Kenny Omega. I don't think anybody is picturing Rich Swann showing up as on Dynamite as the AEW champion. I think that's the last thing on anybody's mind here. But going forward, my thing was like, okay, so how do you get this off Kenny? How does Impact get their title back? My original thought was Eddie Edwards. I'm like, you know what? That's an answer. He's gonna get his shot. I think maybe they do for 1 year. They do away with the 5-person match at Slammiversary and do Kenny Omega versus Eddie Edwards. That's the heart. That's the soul guy. If anyone is gonna fight to get that belt back, it will be Eddie Edwards. And I had him doing it up until about 3 days ago. So I'm going to have Kenny Omega get past Eddie Edwards, go to Bound for Glory. Samoa Joe! Bring Samoa Joe home Samoa Joe is going to be the savior of the company that he grew up in. I got Samoa Joe being the one to eventually get the Impact Championship off Kenny Omega at Bound for Glory. So there's going to be some time. You got about 6 months till that happens. But that's my long-term call right there.
Yeah, I mean, you got to wait 90 days just for Samoa Joe to be able to compete to begin with. So you'll be halfway there already.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Well, that's what I said. Dude, Slammiversary last year was on fire because of the pandemic releases. So who knows if they're going to do the same thing again with more surprises. Let me say, get Billy and Peyton over there. You know, they got the tag titles in Impact. You know, I think they would be. I think they would do okay in AEW. I think they're better suited for Impact, though, Billy and Peyton.
Yeah, I mean, I think based off of my World Tag Titles pick and my AEW Impact World Title pick, I can see Wednesday. You know, everybody just comes out on AEW. The Good Brothers, Kenny Omega, all get on the ramp, holding all the titles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if they don't choose to go the Samoa Joe route, I mean, there's other guys that are still lurking around. Whether they took some time away from Impact or not, that are also quote unquote OGs.
Okay.
You know, you could have an Eric Young do it, and even if he loses, you know, you still have him go and fight James Storm. You know, they have options to do that whole Impact redemption story or fighting for your home.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's a lot of them. And Kenny, and I hope Kenny's up for all those fights because they would all be great. Kenny Omega and Eric Young would be great. But my call is Samoa Joe comes home, and I think he's the only one with enough credibility. To beat Kenny Omega, and it seemed legitimate and not like I said, you got to throw Moose maybe in this conversation. Well, maybe Moose is what cost Rich Swan at Rebellion as well. So maybe Moose has been off. Moose has been off TV since losing the unification match to Rich Swan back in I don't know if it was January or whatever it was.
I mean, let's also not forget here that CM Punk.
Yes, CM Punk.
Early 2000s. He was the TNA guy in the early 2000s. Everybody forgot.
I remember he was a part of Raven's Gathering, Tyler. I was watching.
Yeah. And so fight for the company you worked for 6 weeks. Why not?
Yeah, Raven had CM Punk, Julio De Niro, and Alexis Lurie, who ended up being Mickey James.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm done drinking my cup of power. Tyler, this was fun doing this one. You know, after 50 episodes, me and you finally got to talk some wrestling one-on-one again. That was a lot of fun. Guys, enjoy Rebellion. Everybody at home, I will see you next week, Tyler. Maybe not so much, but I will definitely be back in next week. Looking forward to seeing everybody. And we're talking about what happened at Rebellion. Guys, take it away. Thank you for covering us for 50. Appreciate it.
All right, let's go. The game's about to start.
Yep.
Well, there you go, guys. They have made their picks. And, you know, it makes sense that on the 50th episode of the Essential Wrestling Podcast, we have finally managed to completely blow our time schedule out of the water. So we are in overtime here. So let me get through some of the important things that we tell people about at the end of the show, like the primetime rundown powered by StreamYard with Joey Jarzanka, Ian Schreier, and Rob DeLuca. It's airing every Friday night at 6 p.m. They take you through the world of sports right here on the Eastern Observer. For more information, go to theeasternobserver.com. I am the host of the Daily Wrestling News Show. It's Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. As Al would say, get your morning cup of joy with me and all my band of merry co-hosts right here on the Eastern Observer or on Minutes to Bell Time, wherever you watch the Daily Wrestling News Show. I will just program note there is a Friday show this week. And the Body Slam Brigade newsletter, over 4,000 subscribers, actually over 4,100 subscribers get this weekly column. Go to minutestobelltime.com to subscribe to the Body Slam Brigade newsletter. I write it for you for free. And then this one is for the ladies. If you're upset with the whole process of putting on your eyelashes, let me tell you about these new magnetic lashes that Al's wife is now proudly selling. Take a look at this picture of her. As you can see, they look just like the eyelashes you put on, but they have magnetic eyeliner and 10 tiny magnets on the actual lash. The process is simplified and hassle-free. Join Steph's lovely lashes on Facebook for more details on these amazing Tory Bell products. It's as easy as liner, lash, boom. And as we've talked about throughout the entire episode, ProWrestlingPick'em.com. Go there now to join a league, play against your friends, play against the universe. It is the new season. It's a great time to jump in. This pay-per-view coming up, Rebellion, is the first of the new season. So get in there. Join us on the Essential Wrestling Podcast or create a league of your own. And then join us back here for episode 51 of the Essential Wrestling Podcast. We've been doing it for 50 episodes. We're happy to proceed into 51 through 100. We'll see you right back here on Tuesday, every Tuesday, to take you through the world of wrestling. And it looks like King Kong Bundy is in place. John Smith's there in the background. John DeCon is here. Guys, raise your cup of power to 50 episodes of the Essential Wrestling Podcast.
Chin chin.
Cheers, gentlemen. Here's to 500 more.
Right. For John and Travis and Gary and Al and Tyler, I am Ryan, and we'll